What's up, everyone? I'm gonna let maybe let's have like maybe a couple second pause, just kind of let people tune in and jump in. If you're tuning in today, you're tuning in to Hmong Hip Hop Heritage. Again, this is a three-part series dedicated to the Hmong women's and our community of dance and just pretty much in general, right? Again, my name is Impact Lore. My mom name's Lanka Lore. If you tuned in last time, you know all the information already. But again, today we have a really special guest, and I'll go into that more. But I'll wait for more people to tune in a little bit. I'll give like maybe just one more minute, but I'll just keep talking a little bit to kind of keep you guys in tune. Okay, so this is September, actually, not last September, but just give you guys a little heads up. This is September. My brother villain, Gary Yang, aka Integra, we had Sai as well as Munch. We pretty much did a hip hop heritage conversation, just talking about our origin story, talk a little bit about hip hop experience from our experience within our journey in life as dancers, Hmong dancers. We also talk about bridging the gap, talking about how like pretty much how we use our crafts as dancers to kind of give back to community and at the same time maybe solve certain issue within our community and so on. So that was one category we kind of talk about, and we also talk about stuff that was deeper in dance, right? Because at the same time, if you're an artist and you're a person that is pursuing something that you love in life, sometimes you got to remember that it's also not even just the craft itself, but it's what the craft is giving to you as a person, as a human being, and how is that lesson that you learn through life by pursuing what you love to do change you as a person, at the same time take you on this journey where you pretty much mold how you are now, right? And so I'm really excited to learn more about our guest today. Just give me guys a heads up if you have any questions for Serena, our guest. I already said her name, right? But if you have any questions, feel free put in a comment. We are able to see your comment, and same time we will be able to answer maybe like 2 or 3 questions toward the end of the session, and these questions are directly for our guests. Okay. But if you have any question for Villain, Gary, and us, feel free to put it in there too. We'll comment back. Right? We'll comment back. We'll do that. But other than that, this episode is dedicated to our guests, and same time, Hmong Hip Hop Heritage conversation today is really all about a woman's experience. Okay, this is a 3-part series. We have 2 other guests. We'll talk more about them later. But other than that, let me introduce our guest for today. Okay, I'm just gonna read her bio. So our guest today, I had an opportunity to work with her last year, and I met her multiple times through my dance career as well. So I'm really excited just to start off with her and at the same time have her be here. But I'm gonna read her bio, right? So our guest today is Serena Rimorin, formerly known as Serena Yang, is the co-owner of the Immaculate Trait Dance Center and the dance department lead at Roosevelt School of Arts in Fresno, as well as a graduate of UC Riverside with her Bachelor of Arts in Dance. She recently received her Master in Education with a specialization in Best Practice in September. Props. During COVID, props. And is in her 8th year teaching dance at Roosevelt High School. Her dance subjects include hip hop, traditional Hmong dance, and jazz dance. During her college days, she danced with collegiate and community choreography teams such as 909, GRV, Boogie Zone Breed, and Shiro, just to name a few. I am so excited and I'm honored just to really have this amazing person join us today and honestly share her insight, her story, her experience, and hopefully you guys take something away from today's conversation. So I'm gonna bring her on. So with that, let's welcome Serena. What up, Serena?
Hi.
Dylan and Gary, you guys are more than welcome to jump on as well.
What's up, everyone?
So
Hi, everyone.
we have Serena.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so much
having
for
me.
What up,
being
Serena? Thanks for being here. So
What up,
exciting.
Serena?
So yes, let's just start off. I mean, we'll start off right from the beginning. We already kind of talked a little bit earlier, but like other than that, like I know we want to know more about you pretty much, you know, I mean just the beginning. So pretty much give us your origin story. Like where you born, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have a nickname, anything, feel free. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
put right on you.
All right. Well, thanks again for having me here. I'm really excited. Like I was saying earlier, I'm usually behind the scenes on stuff, my whole life, dance stuff, but I'm glad to be here to share my story. So I'm originally from Denver, Colorado. So we moved to California when I was 5 years old. And even back in Colorado when I was about 4 is when my mom and dad put me in dance classes. So I did do like ballet and tap classes since then when I was really little. And I continued with that all the way up through high school. I even did cheer. But Roosevelt is the school that I chose to go to transfer to in high school because of their dance program. And now I'm there. So it's come full circle, which is really awesome. Yeah. So for me, I've danced my entire life doing like the classical styles, right? Ballet, jazz, tap, lyrical. But I didn't really get introduced to hip hop until I got to college. And so that's kind of where this whole story, you know, begins. But yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for my mom and dad, especially being first generation born here, and them taking those steps to say like, we're going to, you know, put our daughter in dance classes, like that would never have happened for me. All of this wouldn't have never happened for me if it wasn't for my mom and dad.
So that's tight.
Yeah.
So your mom and dad was like, hey, we're going to put you in dance?
Yeah. My older sister, she did it. And then they were like, I can, you know, Serena, there's videos of me where I'm just kind of dancing, moving around. And then so they put me in classes too.
So your parents were born here, or did they
They immigrated here. So I
immigrated. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're
That's so
watching
cool.
right now too.
Yeah. Oh. Hi, mom and dad. Wait, so Serena, wait, I have a question. So what made them like interested in putting you in dance? Like, what was it? Was it, you know, like, what was that?
We had brief conversations about this. Like I said, they put my older sister, she's 4 years older, Emirette. You guys have met her before. So she started in dance classes and I would just kind of tag along. And then they eventually put me in classes. But I think as immigrants coming here to America, or refugees really, actually, thinking of like that American dream, right? Like the American lifestyle. What is something we can do? Because I don't really think they had Hmong dance first, you know, in those early 80s. It was like, yeah, let's just do Hmong dance here. And so it's just something that, you know, to do. And like I said, we've had brief conversations about this and just the reasoning behind it, but it was more like it was something for me to do, you know, kind of like signing up for soccer. You know, that's just what American kids do. And so, yeah, they started me really young at 4. And I kept with it until now, 30 plus years later.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, so cool.
I think, yeah, because I think it's really cool that you started at the age of 4. Like,
yeah.
I think for a lot of us around our age, around our 30s,
Yeah.
a lot of us didn't get into dancing until we're like, you know, a lot older, like 10, 12. You know, lucky, or maybe even 18, you know, into
right. Yeah. Later in life. And again, I know we'll talk about this more too. It's just that how, you know, our parents' support. And I think I've been very, very lucky being one of the many few who've had Hmong parents who are like, sure, okay, you want to pursue dance, let's do it. In high school, I actually won a $10,000 scholarship from an organization called the Senny Brown Scholarship to pursue in dance. And I got to use that towards college. And, you know, continue that and getting my bachelor's in dance too. And so it was something my parents definitely supported. And as long as I had a plan, right, and I was doing something that I loved. And that was something I always fought for. It was like, if I die tomorrow, I want to do something that I enjoy, that I'm passionate about, you know, even thinking about career-wise. You know, I've tried different areas of dance. I've done the LA, you know, agent thing. I've done the industry thing and just kind of seeing where dance falls for me. And it's in education, it's in teaching. And so, and I'm so happy with where I'm at now in life, you know, so
that's so great. I mean, just to know that you have that love and support too at such a young age. And I'm curious, how was the competition though? You know, like for you to win that 10K.
Yeah, I mean,
like, how was that your experience on that?
Yeah, you have to put, so it's through the school, obviously, because it's a organization that helps to fund it. But I think there was like 5 of us total. You have to put a whole portfolio together to prove that what you are pursuing is something that you have been doing, you know, and that you're going to continue to do in college.
This was in high school, right?
This is in high school, yeah.
Wow.
And then based on that portfolio you submit, then you have an interview. So after that, then they announce at the end of the year, you know, who got the scholarship to continue. I mean, and that one was probably the biggest scholarship that Roosevelt gives out. So it's pretty competitive to get. I mean, and these kids are in the arts doing theater stuff, costuming, acting, singing. And I was the only one who did dance, I think, that year. I don't know.
So you were competing with all these other students that were, that was in the arts. Yeah, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
There's only one
too, but it was like
there's only one scholarship. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I won one scholarship in I think senior year. Was it senior? Yeah, senior year. It wasn't that much money. It was probably like $200 or something. But it was a dance scholarship for I think it was like they coined it the Paula Meeks because it was one of our recent dance teacher that had recently passed. So I think after that they decided to they made like a scholarship, but it's not anything as great as yours, but still.
It makes sense why it's 10K because you're competing with like a
lot of people,
all the other
artists,
I mean, like to go against like actors and like maybe like even like other people who are painting, you know. So
very
I think that's
people, my peers. So I felt kind of bad, but also like cool. My dad was like, "All right, cool. That's gonna pay for college then." Good.
That's awesome. So did you dance with any team when you were younger? Like
yes, I grew up dancing. So once we came to California, I was dancing here and there, and then I found like my home studio, Clovis Academy, and with my dance teacher, who is now the current director, Christy Allen, and she. So I danced with them from 7 until I graduated, and I taught there for a little bit before I went to college as well, and then for a little bit when I came home from college before opening up Immaculate Traits. So I grew up at Clovis Academy. So I did ballet, jazz, tap, lyrical, all there, all throughout high school. So I still danced at school at Roosevelt, and then I'd go to dance afterwards, you know, and competed, winning, you know, a couple titles here and there, first places for competitions for my dance solos. And so I did the whole comp kid thing.
That's cool. So you did like the camp too and the dance camp.
Yep, conventions. Yep.
My mom. So cool. I want to hear more about that.
I told my mom and dad a lot of money.
Okay, so they did spend a lot of money for that for you as well to go to.
Yeah, I mean the lessons on top of that with competitions and the costumes, traveling, hotels and conventions. I mean, my parents they invested a lot of money into all of that dance stuff, you know, to be where I am today. I'm very grateful. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Wow. Yeah, which one into, you know, Serena, straight up. Like that's like that's really like even like what Gary said, you know what I mean? Like that's really rare. I mean, even for me, like I'm not saying my mom and dad wouldn't support me, but I feel like now I'm interested, like I'm diving into it, but like more like you started in Denver, right? So you started dancing in Denver. I know your mom and dad put you in dance more, maybe more for like maybe activity, but like, are your mom and dad dancers too? You know, like, or are they into arts, or are they into like?
My mom, like, she sang, and then like at parties, you know, like my mom's the one who actually taught me Lao, like to do traditional Lao and Thai dancing, and so then and then went on to do like Hmong dancing and learning. So yeah, I mean, I think our family's just very talented. But I mean, like as far as dancing competitively or anything like that, I don't think so. But I think they saw the value in doing those extracurricular activities. You know, they always pushed us to do history day and science fair and soccer and do all the sports and get the grades and stuff. Typical Asian parent things. Mm-hmm. But understanding that these things would create values in us, discipline, you know, doing different things like sports and arts and academics, you know, that really just to make us more well-rounded. So And that was something both my parents were like really invested in all their kids. There's 5 of us total, you know, so in all of us.
5 of you total. So you mentioned your sister. I met your sister at H&D. She's so sophisticated and so awesome. Like walked up straight to me, and like we had such a great conversation. Even your mom, I talked to your mom too. So like my encounter with them has been like it proves so much why you are who you are too right now. So like let me ask it. So, I don't know. Feel free to jump into, guys, but like I'm just, like you have one sister. You have
2.
like
there's
2 sisters.
I have an older sister, older brother, and then there's me, and then there's a younger brother, younger sister. So it goes girl, boy, girl, boy, girl.
Wow. Okay.
I'm right in the middle.
You're in the middle. Okay. So does any of your sibling dance as well, or pursue the arts?
We all dance. My older brother did taekwondo, and then they pulled him into our studio to do jazz dance, and so he competed because they needed more boys, so he could like dance with the girls. And then my younger brother, he's like 6 foot tall, so we teach him some dance moves, but he's not like a dancer. And then the youngest one, she did the same thing we all did, you know, started when she was 3-4 years old and danced all the way through high school as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man.
We all dance in the family.
So super talented family in the arts realm then. Dang. Okay. Well, I love it. I guess like during younger years, did you experience any like hip hop like moments, or like moments where maybe like moments where you experienced that was a little bit different just because you're among women, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think just in the things that, well, talking about being like Hmong, right?
Yeah.
And Hmong, young Hmong girl. Again, this is like early 90s. We were always the first ones to do stuff in our community, like in Clovis. There weren't very many Hmong girls doing cheer and dance. And I think it was just because of the time, like, right? And then going into high school and stuff, I did I auditioned for like some backup dancing thing with Jazzy D. And so to me, that was what I started to see as more of like street dance and like what I guess they considered to be more like hip hop, right? And so I did that. And then my only other idea or ever, you know, being exposed to hip hop was obviously breaking because it was so big in the Hmong community. Mm-hmm. But again, it was always affiliated with the negative connotations of like, oh, they're gangs and it's bad, so don't, you know, get involved in all of that. So in Fresno specifically, there wasn't a lot of exposure to hip hop because we didn't do it at our studios. We did jazz, you know, and made it hip hop, but it was more commercialized dance of what we would see in like music videos or whatever. And that was it until I got to college, until I got to UC Riverside, and I joined my dance teams out there. So, but yeah, being here in Fresno, it was very different. And then coming back to Fresno after college was like, it blew up, you know. Now there's hip hop studios everywhere. Studios are doing hip hop dance. There's small little teams here and there in Fresno. So yeah, in those 4 or 5 years, a lot changed. But I think it was also just my exposure to seeing it in college and coming home and now saying like, oh, I recognize it, because it could have been around for a long time. I just didn't know, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think that's the possibility there. It's just it was always around. I just wasn't exposed to it as much growing up.
Awesome. Before
go
ahead.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, so I was just gonna say, yeah, like growing up, born and raised in Fresno, I think there's a thing I always tell people, you know, like about the breaking scene is that if you're not really into like that community, you're really not gonna hear a lot about it. You won't know if things are happening. And so the only way to really know about a lot of what's happening in the dance community, you know, whereas if it's like open styles or breaking or whatever, it's like you got to be in that community. And so if people were trying to come in, trying to find that information, especially back in the 90s or the early 2000s, that kind of information is not like how it is right now, you know, like where it's copy and pasted all over social media. It was just word of mouth, or if you went somewhere and you saw something, you know, or someone told you. So, but I you know, I'm just saying, being from Fresno, it's like, you know, seeing all the stuff that you're talking about, it's like I totally get it, you know. And then when you talk about the underground things, you know, yeah, they're really hidden, but then they're just right under your nose.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think going to college and seeing it opened my, you know, took those blinders off. Because then when I got back to Fresno, I was like, well, there's dance works, there's dance empowerment. Dwayne at Fresno State, they have that hip hop class. You know, like these things, it's always been around, but unless, like Gary, you're saying, you know about it, you're not going to see it, you know. So I didn't see it when I was younger.
That's awesome. So I mean, during that time for me, I didn't really. It was hard to. I mean, hip hop was still so new during time for our generation, especially within our Hmong community.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see why. Even for myself during that time, like when I got exposed to hip hop, I didn't even know the heck I was doing. You know, I was just doing it because I loved it, right? Well, you know, breaking at first too, but Vil, you mentioned you had a question.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask Serena, like, if you could share like your experience, like when, you know, you said you were more exposed to hip hop when you went to UC Irvine, right? Was that what you said?
You were Riverside, yeah.
Oh no, my bad. Sorry, Riverside. Yeah, UC Riverside. So, like, tell us how that experience was. Riverside. Because you did apply there.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so my freshman year, so we did like the freshman orientation visit on campus, and I saw the 909 dance troupe, formerly hip hop dance troupe, but they've just recently changed to just 909 dance troupe, right? And that was in 2005. And so one of the pieces that they had in their set was a jazz routine that my friend Amador choreographed. And so that was what got me, because I was like, oh, they do jazz, but they're also doing hip hop. They're like breaking and stuff, you know? So right away, they caught my eye. I went up to a couple of the guys like right after the performance and was like, hi, love you guys. Like, how do I try out for this? Like, when are the auditions? And so once I started in the fall, I followed them and like just made sure like I was on that team. Like I needed to be on that team. And so my very first dance that I got casted for was a breaking piece. And I have never been more sore in my entire life, waking up the next day, not being able to move, like just my abs, my legs, everything just hurt. Because we're doing like floor work. We're doing like threads and then rollover. And then they had us doing like flying squirrel over somebody, and I couldn't do any like freezes or anything. So they just had me like do silly poses. But yeah, breaking was that was the first piece that I ever learned, was a breaking piece. And then, you know, you have to get casted for the other choreo pieces, but I absolutely loved it. And so I was on 909 for, I believe, I don't even know my years anymore, but probably I think 2 years before I auditioned and tried out for GRV. And then I added, at one time I was like on 3 teams. I was on GRV, Breed, and She Rose. So I'd be traveling from like, you know, where were
the Hollywood points? Like,
yeah.
You're going up to the valley a little bit, or like Inland Empire a little bit?
Yes.
Torrance.
From Riverside over to where GRV was, then down over to Fullerton, and then to Irvine for a Breed. And so I wouldn't get home till like 3 a.m.
Oh, during that time, Breed was in Irvine, huh? That's right.
Yeah.
They had
and then we would practice up in Long Beach. Yeah, at Utopia. So yeah, I was just, in my 4 years, it felt like 10 years. But I loved it. I loved dancing there. I would travel on the weekends to San Diego or to Irvine to take workshops and classes when I wasn't at practice for 909 or the other teams. Breed was like my dream team to be on, like as far as like a company. And then I got invited to be on She Rose, an all-female team, right? And that was my last performance was with them in 2009 before I went back home. And it was like such a great loss. Like I was grieving when I moved back home. Like I would just cry. I think I cried for like a week straight, because it was just that loss of like the connection, the community, the families, and those teams. And I was just crying for a whole week being home. I was like, I just want to stay down there. But my mom was like, what are you going to do? Live in your car? You have no job. Like, you're done with school. Like, what are you going to do down there? So I had to come home. But looking back now, it's like I was meant to be here. I was meant to come back to Fresno to share everything that I learned and everything that I got to experience, and a lot of the things that I learned from there, we put into Immaculate Tray, we put into our Common Unity dance competition. I put into what I do at Roosevelt. So I'm very grateful for all of those experiences, getting to choreograph, getting to direct, being a part of those teams and those families. And I mean, gosh, I still have, we're still friends. Those people that I've met, they're such a big part of my life. So it's crazy.
That's all good. I mean, you're diving pretty deep already, and which is so great. I mean, I was just saying you're so well spoken, and you are taking us to many places right now where I'm like I want to learn more from you. So I guess since we're diving into your more of like, I guess, your dance, don't take it as hip hop experience, but just dance experience, artist, entrepreneur, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like I guess, can you share with us maybe like some of your like your success stories, you know what I mean, or even at your younger, not I mean I wouldn't say younger years, but more like maybe like your that gap from entering college to 2009 when you had to go back, and it was like I know how you felt too, because like there's a moment where there's many moments Bill and I we contemplated about going home too in Sacramento, you know what I mean, but I'm just thankful for my siblings, and thankful for my family, for love and support too, so are there any success stories, even failures too? I mean, because like sometimes without failures, we can't succeed and be where we want to be in life too. So
the good and the bad, like the hard times, the good times.
So my I think it was towards the end of my first year, I was mentioning earlier, I auditioned for representation with an agency, a dance agency, because like the dream all through high school was, I'm going to be a backup dancer, I'm going to dance in LA. So I got an agent, I got signed with DDO after an audition, and they sent me on a lot of auditions, but in college, I still looked like I was 12 years old. And so they're sending me to all of these like sexy women, grown, bikini, dance auditions. And so I think that also plays into this whole idea and concept, which we'll get into later, about women in hip hop. Like all I needed to do was be sexy and half naked and I would get the job. But I never looked old enough, so I always got cut. And then they started sending me on the kids audition. So I did like Nickelodeon and Disney, and that was more my vibe anyways. And a lot of those auditions were, even though I auditioned and got signed under jazz, they were sending me to a lot of the hip hop commercial auditions, and I was so close for a lot of auditions where, because they pick the blonde and the brunette and then the Black or Hispanic girl and then an Asian. And so I got really close for some auditions, but it's a tough industry, and I have real talks with our students who they want to pursue that again, because they have these blinders on and they just see LA dance, like that's how I'm going to make it. And so I have really honest conversations with them and I say, I'm going to be honest with you. If you don't look like this, you don't do that, you're not going to make it. It's just the way it is. It's very tough. I teach this to my students, the statistics of how many dancers there are out there who are going for the exact same job you're going for. So I did that for like 3 years. And then I just came home. I mean, a lot of the gigs that I got were through friends who knew me and they're like, oh, we need an extra role. And so those are the jobs that I would get paid for and booked for. But like the big industry stuff, it was really tough. But moving on to successes, YouTube was really popping back in 2008, 2009. And I got flown out to New Jersey to go teach out there. I got flown out to Vegas to go teach out there. I was making it happen on YouTube with all my videos. I got to teach out when I studied abroad in London, last year of college. And I was part of TK Spin, which was kind of like a sister branch from Boogie Zone. And they held Boogie Zone classes out there too. And so I joined their company while I was studying abroad, and I got to teach a workshop for a friend out there. So I came home after, and when my husband and I were first dating, his brother was on like a video call like this with some girl. And I don't even remember how it happened, but she was like, wait, your brother's dating Serena Yang? And so his brother comes down. He's like, Serena, can you come say hi to my friend? So I go up and I'm like, hi. And she's like crying, like, oh my gosh, you're Serena Yang. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, what's up? But it was like my first fangirl moment. Like, it was just so odd. you know, that she'd watched my YouTube videos of me dancing and you know, was like a fan. So that was so cute. And I was just like, this is so weird. But I came home and unfortunately I didn't continue to do all of those things. And that's when a lot of dancers were getting flown out to China, you know, to Poland and to teach out there and do all that. So I think if I would have stuck it out a little longer, maybe that's kind of where my path would have gone. But
so do you still have these YouTube videos online still?
Maybe.
I'm only asking because I would love to go watch it.
Yes,
and I would love for our audience who's watching to go watch it too,
there.
to see more of just you and movement, you know. So
yeah, they are still there, and I'm proud of them. They're not like a lot of people are like, oh, they're so cringy, you know, if you think about like your past stuff. But I'm really proud of them because I was really learning and defining my style. I mean, training with so many different teams like GRV and then Sheroes, and the way they were so empowering. My style at that time, like I was actually, I mean, it was the style of the 2000s, like mid 2000s, right? So I was really proud of the videos that I have up of the dancing, the choreography that I did, the classes that I taught, you know, and that's why I did post it. It wasn't to become famous because that wasn't really a thing then. But I'm really proud of them. And so I do kind of tend to go back and watch them here and there and say like, oh, that's my favorite piece I did, or oh, I really like that choreography. Maybe I should bring that back. It's definitely nothing like what's out there today, but I definitely am proud of those videos and those moments, you know, because it's part of me. It's part of my, you know, my story. And so I really, yeah, they're out there. So if you find them.
I know how you feel. That's so dope. I mean, I didn't know all this about you, Serena, by any chance. Like I know, you know, our story, we connected a couple of times here and there, you know, like you talked to me at H4 when you took our brain class, right? And then I know I met you like a couple of times even during the collegiate years of Dylan and I when we were in part of Pac Modern. Somewhere because I know
like vibe.
Yeah, because not a lot of Hmong people danced during that time, so it was so rare to meet someone that was Hmong, especially a Hmong woman. You know, I think that was something that like kind of like stuck to me. And then I met you later on at H4 again when you took our class, and then I was like, oh, it is tight, you know what I mean? And then like I kept like seeing you more and more and more, and then like getting to work with you, like hearing more now about your story, but at the same time getting to work with you last year at your event, and at the same time at the workshop that you hosted for us to teach at, like seeing that, but now hearing your story, everything makes sense. You know, because like if you don't know, if you were there, that the workshop, the dance competition, Common Unity was so smoothly run. It was like with score sheet that was well put together. She was the MC and like, you know, still kind of make sure everyone was okay, and like I don't know, power to you, straight up. Like it makes a lot of sense because like hearing more of your background, I'm just giving you props right now because hearing more from your background and where you learn a lot of stuff, is kind of like I could kind of relate to, you know what I mean? Like I see a lot of myself there. So like I guess I'm just gonna ask a question randomly. It's like as a Hmong woman, you know what I mean? Like I know you know, for me as Hmong men during that time, like it was hard to find Hmong men or Hmong women to even befriend or kind of be in the same sorts of I guess career passion or what you want to pursue in life, right? But was there anything differently that you noticed, just because I know you mentioned the industry already in terms of like how women sometimes tend to book based off of a look, or maybe like you have to be sexy, do that, and based on looks sometimes, right? And I get it, and I was there too. But like now, like I'm interested to see like even from the community side, right? When we talk community, you know, before that we talked that side is like more of the collision world, and then like even when you mentioned of like the fusion of dance that you discovered with like hip hop to how people perform with like even jazz or stuff like that. Let me ask you this: is like, was there anything that you encountered as just a woman in general, right, that you saw that was great, or saw that it was like, dude, it was a challenge? Like it was a challenge.
Yeah.
During that time.
For me personally, I don't know if it's just a personality thing, or if I'm just that naive and I just have my blinders on. But as far as like competitiveness among different girls, for me, it's always been like, well, I know I don't look like her. I know I don't have her skills, and that's okay. Like, I'm okay with just being me. So for me, I may not feel comfortable being the sexy girl, but there are plenty of other girls out there who really, you know, are empowered by that. And like, I give them so much props. And I say, like, one day when I grow up, maybe I can dance like them. So there is that, and that expectation, maybe depending on, you know, who you're dancing with or trying to book a gig or whatever it is, where you have to be okay with who you are. But it also then you have to find that niche for yourself where you're going to fit in. You know, there are a lot of strong female dancers right now who aren't doing the jazz, funk, sexy style, right? Not heels and whatever. They're in their own style that they are amazing at. And so I think we need to really empower just like women for women, like you are awesome for who you are as an artist and your artistry. But I think that, again, it's probably just personality where I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I'm okay not being that girl, you know, now in my life. But I think there is that expectation of, and it's kind of like, it's hard, right? That hip hop may not be for girls, because hip hop may be a style that is, if we're talking like breaking or, you know, like the hip hop movement, if you're talking about that, it's like, can girls also do that? And you guys will see, you know, Mayder like being part of Wizards and stuff too. And myself having been a part of breaking in breaking was such a big part of my college years, not just choreography, but me going, my roommate, I call him Kuya because he was my big brother. He took me to jams. He took me to sessions, underground sessions, under cafes and libraries, going to all of these different things and battles. Like breaking was such a big part of my journey in hip hop when I was going through college and doing all of that. And so I have a lot of respect for it. I think I can still do some moves. But yeah, I think for a woman, it doesn't matter what your style it is. You don't have to fit a specific mold. You do you and find what fits for you. You know, find your style and find where you're comfortable and do that, because you know, that's the only way that you're going to be proud of what you do and what career you go for, you know, in dance specifically. But yeah, and that's why Immaculate Trait, that's where the name comes from. It's your perfect, you know, flawless skill. Whatever you do is good enough. And that's why we love that mission of our studio name, you know, and that's something that's always been a part of me that came out into those words and then became our studio. Yeah.
I'm curious. So I want to know your, like, let's say when you were young, what were some of your inspirations when you were young? And I understand that inspiration kind of changed as you grow as a dancer, right? As you get older. So as you were young, like who or what was like your inspiration growing up as a dancer? And then later on, you know, like let's say maybe like college or later when you were older, what, you know, who or what was your inspiration then?
Growing up, like in high school, definitely my inspiration was Britney Spears. Like she always, right? She always had the best dance moves or whatever in her music videos. Like we went to her concert when I was 13 years old in Vegas. As a performer, she was always like oh, I want to dance for her. Like she was the reason I wanted to be a backup dancer, to get to dance for artists like her. And then in college, it was just very, I don't know. I think it was more about the teams that inspired me. So like wanting to be a part of GRV because of the style and just how me being a cheerleader with the background in cheer, right? Like how clean they were and like all the angles and things like that. Like that, for me, that style suited me. And then seeing Breed, like they're the dream team because of the creativity and the differences in styles that they had in all their performances. That's what I loved about Breed. And now as an adult, I'm so inspired by the youth. And because there's so much access on social media, and that's something that I'm pushing our young adults to do, is like, you don't have to go to LA to be acknowledged and recognized. Like they're doing so many amazing things right now, putting on their social media and branding. And that's what we are teaching them and telling them, like, brand yourself, be from Fresno. Don't go to LA and try to do it and make it. be from Fresno, be proud of being from Fresno, brand yourself, put out your videos, do those concept videos, freestyles, whatever it is. You know, and I'm so proud of them. And so definitely the young adults and the youth out there that are doing amazing things in their style, and just being like, knowing who they are already so young, like knowing their bodies and, you know, their style and forms already. Like that's what inspires me. Like, honestly, for me, that saying, like, if you can't do, teach, like that's where I'm at in life now, because I can't dance like that anymore. I love performing and I love taking class, but I teach now, you know, so yeah.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's powerful.
So Serena, so where's one of the favorite places that you visited as a hip hop dancer?
Definitely London. I obviously went there to finish my college years, but I was, like I said, I was a part of a team out there, and those kids are like 13, 15-year-olds just roaming around the entire city, and we're staying out really late, but they're dancing in the subway stations, they're dancing on the train. We auditioned for a really random This Is It show. Like, it was based off Michael Jackson's thing. So they brought me on to be a part of their team, and we auditioned to be on, like, it was like a dance competition show, which was really random. But just seeing the culture out there, it was so different from LA dance choreography culture, right? Because in Europe at the time, in 2009, they had Red Bull, they were doing the world, like, breaking competitions, you know, so they had huge banners and stuff for it on the bus stops and everywhere. So they're really big on all the fundamentals, like popping, breaking, locking, all that. And it was so different because they were so behind in choreography, though, you know, whereas in LA, in SoCal, everybody wanted to be LA. Everybody was hiring, sending out dancers from SoCal, you know, flying them out to teach over in those countries. So it was really cool to see the difference that in cultures of where they were at in dance, in hip hop, right? So getting to experience that was pretty cool.
Sorry,
Cool.
Did you dance with Bambaataa by any chance?
I did.
You did? Oh.
I am. Yeah, I was on tour
cool.
2008, and like that year, it was like,
Yeah.
like it was almost 2 years. I was on 2 seasons with
right,
Jerry.
right.
So Bam and David Lim and John Hall were like our main choreography directors.
Okay.
Yeah. They were in their
yeah.
second or third year when they did their comeback, right? So I was on the team like their second or third year. So that definitely played into directing for me, and like how to direct a team, the discipline, the cleaning,
Drills, yeah.
drilling.
Yeah.
How that feels.
My nickname is like Drill Sergeant. Everybody just calls me Drill Sergeant.
Hey, but that's the whole point, though, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes us
It's a
as
good
dancers, we're moving and we don't see it, right?
Yeah.
So that just means that sometimes we don't see ourselves, but it's only great to know that you have a person outside to kind of watch. And
I've made people cry though, so
Oh.
I had to take it down a notch. Because on these teams, we don't have the privilege of like a studio, so we're dancing outside. You know,
I know how you feel on that.
You know, right? Yeah.
Parking lots to like outdoor random spots.
Yeah, or like parking structures. And so for me, it was, I'm going to call you out to fix you and clean you. And for some people, they're just really sensitive. So they cry, and like, I would get like the other directors would be like, Serena, you need to like calm down, you know? But it's just like, I don't have time. It's 3 a.m. Like, we need to finish this piece. Like, just suck it up, you know? But I'm a lot better now being a teacher and a cheer coach and a studio owner. I don't get crazy anymore.
Speaking about teaching and just speaking about studio owner, I guess let's move on. Just I guess I'll ask you this before we move on to just like learning more about you and your community and your studio. I would like to learn more about your studio. I mean, you as a teacher at your high school that you're teaching at. But like, is there, before we move there, is there a memorable moment in your life during that time that you like? It doesn't have to be the one, but one that was like you cherish right now. You know, as a
during we're teaching at high school.
Let's just say from college all the way till you had to go back to, or maybe even like college till like beginning-ish of your time back in Fresno, California, because I know you have to move back, right? And you have to jumpstart and figure stuff where you're at, and like
I think this is super cheesy, But the week that I came home, I just was like, I don't know if there's any hip hop, like choreography dance out there. And a friend actually invited me to go to a studio in Tulare with a group of boys that she had been dancing with, like this little crew called Formula Dance Crew. And so I was like, I need to dance. Like, I can't just stay at home. Like, I don't know where to dance because all the other studios in Clovis are just teaching like jazz and stuff. This is like a week when I've been home. And so I went with her. I was just like, where is Tulare? I've never been to Tulare. I have, but I just like never thought of it. And we go to the studio and there's all these boys there. And, you know, she's just like, okay, I have a new dancer for you guys. And so we prepared for a Filipino weekend dance competition in about a month. And that's how I met my husband, was at that very first practice. And it was really crazy that like our lives kind of paralleled a lot. Like he took class from June Kamado. He had gone to San Diego and taken the class, or he knew of Sean Evaristo. So it was really weird that our lives had kind of been lining up for a while. And then I met him that night at that studio, and the rest is history. And so I joined their team and I danced with Formula Dance for a couple of years. And yeah, that's kind of where like from there we branched off and we decided to start Immaculate Trade. But I think having my experience in college and coming home and feeling so like, I don't know if I'm going to get this anymore. Like, I'm so desperate for dance that I'll go anywhere. I'll drive another hour, you know, driving down in SoCal an hour is like nothing. But in Fresno to Tulare was like, ugh. But yeah, just getting to do that. And that moment just where I finally got to dance again and then be a part of a team. And then obviously I tried to take over a couple times because that's me, you know, it wasn't my team, but I tried to take over. And then, you know, just getting to do that, and it took us to where we are now. So, and that was 11 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
things happen for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, you coming back home, meeting your husband, getting a chance to recreate your own opportunity as a dancer, like that's like you know, usually I'll be real with you, sometimes some people give up.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm now kind of like, I'm interested more in your mentality. Like, what I know you already are such a strong woman already, because I worked with you a couple of times and encountered you leading and guide, and not just not now hearing you that sometimes you just prefer leading. So let me ask you, just like, what really drive that person you to say, nah, I'm not gonna give up?
Yeah, I think just all the positive experiences I had being a part of the SoCal community, coming back home, I think not wanting to lose that, but also saying like, if this is my future, if I'm here and I'm staying in Fresno, how do I apply all that I've learned? And so that's why we started doing the workshops and started Immaculate Trait, was to build that, because you have so much going on in SoCal. You have all this dance stuff happening in NorCal, but Fresno always gets bypassed. Everybody always skips over Fresno. And so that's been our mission for the last 5 years. We really actually started Immaculate Trade in 2012 and our studio in 2015. But for all of these, you know, so I guess for the last 8 years, it's been, how do we build our community here in Fresno? Because there's obviously dancers out there. There's obviously groups and hip hop here in Fresno, right? Whether it's through the breaking scene or choreography scene. There's dance here and it's meaningful, and we can make an impact, even being just us little Fresno here. And so that's what my husband and I really put into Immaculate Trait. So he had his experience because they love the company, you know, Sean Evaristo and them. And so he brought his NorCal like style, and then I was all SoCal and bringing it together to create.
So he was in NorCal.
No, they just loved
they went up there often. Okay, gotcha.
So they would go take classes up with the company when the company would have workshops. They learned off the YouTube, you know what I mean? So, but the style for them was the Bay Area style. And then for me coming from SoCal, it was like our styles together mixed. And our experiences and knowledge of both communities coming to Fresno and saying, let's build something in Fresno.
That's so dope, because now I'm like seeing like the connection straight up. Like you get like talking about bridging the gap. You guys are bridging a huge gap in your Fresno community with the entire state, because you guys are making actual like a stop, right? Like straight up.
Yeah, and I mean it's been really awesome because again, like all the connections and people I knew from through the community in SoCal, obviously we met dancers from the Bay Area too. And so when we hold our workshops, we're able to pull dancers from both. And then being where we're located, we specifically chose our studio location because it's right off the freeway. So that anybody can travel into Fresno, because you're going to get through Fresno either way. You're going to go on the 99 and you're going to pass Fresno. So instead of passing Fresno, stop. So I've had a lot of friends who are saying, hey, I'm coming up through to the Bay Area because I booked a teaching job at a studio. Are you guys open to do a workshop for me? And so they'll come and stop in Fresno on Friday, and then they'll go up and teach on Saturday in the Bay, or vice versa. They'll be coming down to LA, so they'll stop in Fresno to teach it, and then they'll go down to LA. So
That's
now
dope.
I'm a pit stop.
That's
I
awesome.
have to give you props for that, and like
Yeah.
even Gary too. You both
I think
are
that's awesome.
example of that in Fresno right now.
I agree.
I mean,
I
I
agree.
visit Fresno the most I have done in my entire life because of you and Gary, straight up, because of what you guys create out there. So, you know, like I appreciate you guys doing that, like straight up, like even I know even what you had already was your knowledge and like you said already, right? Your quote mentor. Like, can you say that one time? Like, if you
If you
quote?
can't do teach.
Yeah, you can't do teach, right? But at the same time, like, feel like you're not just teaching. You're really sharing more than just movement or stuff like that. You're really trying to bridge a huge gap in your community in Fresno, California right now, right?
Yeah,
and I
there's
see that. I
so
really
many
see that.
different
So,
facets to it too.
That's so
It's
dope.
the education part, it's the dance injury prevention part, it's the career. Like even if you do dance and you want to dance, well, there's other avenues you can do. You can do dance on TV, commercial. Well, if you have dance experience, you can do other things, business, you know. So there's a lot, like, because no one ever told me that in high school. I just was like, I'm going to be a backup dancer, you know, not knowing where dance could also take me. And it's taken me a lot of years going back to school. Of course, I was supposed to become a doctor for my dad when I got home, but after college, and that switched real quick and I changed to teaching. But that's because I found a passion in working with kids, and I've always loved working with kids. And so,
can you share what you studied?
Where I studied?
Yeah, like what did you study when you went to college?
I got my bachelor's in dance, and so
Yeah,
so at Riverside, it's the style that they focus on is more experimental, modern movement. But you do obviously still have to take modern and ballet and then other styles as part of your degree. But it's a lot of theory as well. UC Riverside is the only college on the West Coast that has a PhD in dance theory and history. So you become a doctor in dance, in history and theory. And so that's where I pulled from that, and why right now with COVID happening and us teaching online, I'm really implementing that as part of my unit. Right now we're doing a history and culture unit, right? So sharing that through jazz dance, and what is the history and heritage of jazz dance? What is the history and heritage of hip hop? And Hmong dance, we're navigating and also kind of investigating, where does Hmong dance come from and how it's influenced by Thai, Laos, Cambodia,
that's so cool.
Even the Philippines and Burma and India. And so it's like in all this stuff that I pulled from my degree, it's like, oh, well, you guys are going to get it now because I have access to the internet.
That's awesome.
So I really love that, though. I love that learning. Like, you can be such a smarter and better dancer, and not just technically, but like up here, like be a smarter dancer, please. You know, you can have all the skill, but if you don't appreciate where your form is coming from, then I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah.
Love it.
Oh,
that's true. So I totally agree.
Props, Serena. Like I was wondering how it would have been if I graduated, like I did like a major in dance, and like I wonder how my career would have been.
Yeah,
like, I guess now it's my chance to ask that question because we have a graduate.
You can still go back.
Yeah,
I thought about doing a master's in dance or a master's in choreography, but I would have to go back down south or something. And so with my teaching credential, I added that master's in best practices, right? And so best practices is basically like, how can you be a better and more efficient teacher? What are the best strategies to use in your teaching, in your classroom management to help kids learn? And I love it. I love teaching. I love being able to to make learning fun for them and also easier and better for them to learn. Like, how do we break down steps? Let's start from the beginning. You know, if this is what I'm doing for you is not working, how can I do better for you so that you can learn and do better and succeed in my classroom? So I really, really love that. But I think going to school for dance, like my dad was very like, are you sure? And my thing was, don't worry, Dad, I'm going to become a doctor after. So that's where the compromise was, but it didn't happen. Because I always said I would be a doctor in dance. I'd be a doctor in dance. And I now know there's so much more you can do with that. And the career that I probably should have stuck with was physical therapy, because I have a lot of dance friends out there now who are doing dance prevention or dance prehab, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the career. But no one ever told me that. No one ever said become a physical therapist then, you know, and use your dance.
That's the route I was going. yeah, it was. Yeah. That was where I was going. So, but that's so interesting to see that you had a lot of friends that was going towards that route, taking that route too. Yeah,
a big thing. And so I've supported a lot of friends in that career and what they're doing with the physical therapy, and I apply that. And I've just got done with the health and fitness unit, where we do talk about dance prevention, and we do exercises to help strengthen their ankles, you know, because a lot of the injury is the lower body. And so we do apply a lot of that stuff. But I think going into dance probably wasn't the best choice for my parents. Thinking back, I wish I would have double majored in like biology and dance, right? But I think I was very lucky to have parents who were like, okay, as long as you have a plan and you know what you're going to do, okay, we'll support it. Whereas a lot of young parents probably are like, nope, you need to go into biology, you need to become a nurse, you need to become a doctor, or whatever it is.
Got it.
But you knew you wanted to teach though, right? At that time, or not yet, right?
Yet, no.
So when can you share when you realized you're like, I want to teach, right? I mean, I'm sure it was some time after you came back, right?
So
home, right?
So after high school, I did an 8-week program teaching hip hop at the juvenile hall, at the Juvenile Justice Center. And I did an 8-week program there. So I worked with a pod of boys and a pod of girls in juvie. And it was a really great experience getting to teach them. Or no, this was after college. This was before I left to London. So getting to work with them and teach them, and, you know, just these young kids who made stupid mistakes. But through hip hop, we were able to connect that way. You know, we watched hip hop videos, and then I taught them a little bit of breaking, and even one of the boys was a breaker, which was really cute. And then I've always worked in after school programs. So after college, my aunt got me a job in after school program. So you tutor kids, and then I taught a dance class because they're like, well, you teach dance, perfect. We need an enrichment class. But it really started when I was in high school, because my mom worked at Mayfair Elementary, and she was a part of the like creating parent programs and the First Five, you know, getting especially the Hispanic and Southeast Asian communities and parents involved in their students' learning in elementary school. And so she had me come out and teach cheer. I taught in a little Hmong dance class and a hip hop class to 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. So just that passion for kids and teaching started like even in high school. But I didn't really think that I was going to take it onto as a career, just because that's not where my head was. My head was like, oh, well, I can teach dance like at a studio. You know, you work with kids, you teach dance at a studio. But I got my job at Roosevelt in 2012 because a friend who originally was teaching there, they had started a hip hop class, and he had started that program there, and he was going off to the police academy. And so I actually took the job on January of 2012. And it was only one hip hop class at the time. So you just had every level from beginners to kids who already danced. And then from there, adding on 2 classes, and then adding a Hmong dance class. And then now 8 years later, I'm in charge of the entire department.
2.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm speechless.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you're making job eat, like you're like straight up, like all the stuff you said is like, it's like you're touching all the stuff that we already kind of want to talk about. Like I'm interested. Yeah, I'm just now interested in like, what's your like to know the way you are now and how you were then too. Do you think that you were similar? You were always this type of person, or was it a lot of your journey through like even dance, like learning it from dance, like was it? Did dance teach you a big part of your discipline in terms of who you are as a leader, a business owner,
Yeah.
a person
I think,
who's like teaching kids and
Mhm.
helping them mold their journey to the point where you're giving them multiple avenues in life, not just like one target, right? You're like, you could do this and that, but at the same time you still could do it here too. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like that's such a great teacher, because like there's teachers out there that don't go the extra mile, and to me, I feel like you're going the extra mile, even extra mile, you know. And so dude, like I wish I had a teacher like you, straight up. So like I'm asking you, like, so were you like that too, or was there someone who was there in your life that was that taught you that, you know what I mean? Or like kind of showcase that to you?
I think my love for dance and just being that type of person or kid, just so passionate about what I wanted, very stubborn in that way. But my mom, for sure, and my older sister were the ones who were like, this is how you respond to people. This is how you communicate with people. If you don't like the way they are, you have to work with them. So you suck it up, and you know, this is how you have to be. My mom was a social worker for 23 years here in Fresno County. And so she's the one, and like I said, she's the one who pulled me to do the after school programs when I was in high school. And so she's really instilled that passion and love for kids. And then just, again, like with the way my sister is like very, you know, organized and type A, but very work oriented and like organized. And you guys have met my sister, so you know how she is. So those two just being strong Hmong women. My mom has a master's in social work. You know, she got a college degree and a master's degree. Amaret has a college degree and a master's degree. She went to Columbia and lived in New York for 12 years. So I already have these amazing Hmong women figures in my life that you just, it's not like, oh, I have to strive and it's so much pressure. It's like, I want to be there. I want to be on top, you know. And right now my sister Amaret is actually working on her PhD. She just gave birth in July, you know, and she's working on her PhD. And my mom is like, oh, I'm thinking about it too. And I'm like, all right, let's do it together. So my mom and I might go for our PhDs together, you know.
Wow.
But they're definitely two very strong, educated women in my life, Hmong women in my life that I look up to. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the goal right there, right? But I think just having that passion for dance and then applying all that together is really what drives me and is like, okay, this is who I am. This is the person I want to be.
That's so cool. Because I like it, you're gluing it all together for us right now. You know, because I'm like, we're like, because I hear what Impact was saying too. It's like, yeah, I want to know how you became you too. Like, what is that strong person behind, you know, that strong, never give up person in you? Because obviously listening to your story, I'm just like, also like, wow, yeah, you have that sense of like, you know, don't want to give up. But, you know, I know everyone go through rough times, but yeah, it's also like, what is that it's not, you know, what is that strong spirit coming from? Right. You know, that's why in fact we mentioned mentors and stuff, but that's great too. Family members are so awesome as support and mentors too, you know. So
and I want to be that for my students, because now that I have my Hmong dance class, this is my fourth year. No, are we fourth year? No, my kids just graduated seniors. So my very first year, I've already had them as 4 years. So this is my fifth year doing Hmong dance. And being you know, Hmong female teaching a class, they see what I do. They see that I teach hip hop. They also see that I'm a cheer coach and I run the dance program, and being a role model for them. And even the way that I teach them and I communicate with them, they teach me Hmong and I try to communicate back in Hmong with them, you know, and supporting them. A lot of them play sports. And so I'll try to stop in and watch them at their games and show them that, you know, this is what a teacher does, but also this is what a fellow like Hmong woman can be and do for you, and you can look up to me for that. And so I really love my students, especially my Hmong students, because we already have that cultural connection, but also to just be me and for them to see like, oh, she's kind of cool, or oh wow, she's like a teacher and she teaches dance. Like that's very different, right? So I really love just the opportunities and the platform that I have.
You're definitely paving the way for the future with what you're telling. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there. I mean, there's a lot of Hmong women I know that are changing the world a lot right now. You know what I mean? And like you are definitely one of them right now. So like it's just, it makes a lot of sense, because like straight up, like I think one of my favorite dancers right now that is Hmong is Shayna Vu. You know, straight up. I think she she's incredible. The art that she create, and then now hearing your story and seeing the connection from you and her, it makes a lot of sense. Of I'm like, she's our last guest for this episode, and like I'm like, oh wow, I'm seeing the connection, and I'm like super interested to see how a student or a person that grew under you experienced mentorship, leadership, and guidance in that way. So
she was
like
one of my babies. Yeah, she started
like,
dancing with us her sophomore year of high school, and then I created a program called FIT, FIT, Future Instructors of Tomorrow, because I thought I was cool. And
almost like FFA, Future Farmers America.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, exactly.
I'm part of FFA. I was part of FFA.
And then IT was already in there, right? Because it fits with our immaculate trait. We always try to throw IT in there. And it was like a 4-week process or 4-program process of teaching them how to teach their own class. And so we talk about like how to communicate, musicality, how to break down your steps, how to make sure you're paying attention to your, students, asking them questions. And then, towards the end, they teach me, and then I give them feedback. And I'm like, okay, that was really good, but don't rush through that part, or don't forget to add this, whatever it is. And then they get to go, and then they finally get to teach their own workshop. So it was like a little mini mentorship. And then I also continue to do that at Immaculate Trait as well. So we've had 3 classes, I think, of dancers who've come to us and they want to be better choreographers or teachers in the classroom. And so then I walk them through all the same steps, and every year has been different with the groups that I've had. Unfortunately, we haven't had it in like the last 2 years now because everything's been so crazy, but I really love being able to do that and impart whatever I've learned and everything that I've learned, and how to make them, again, comes with my degree though, right? Best practices, how to be more efficient teachers in the classroom, because I think anybody can dance, but not everyone can teach. And that's going to be where you make or break somebody's passion or interest in dance, because you can take a class and you're just like, okay, this is terrible, and you never do it again. Or you go and you're like, wow, I suck at dancing, but I'm so inspired by this teacher and they were so awesome, and I'm going to continue to push myself now to be a better dancer. So I think having really good teachers in the classroom is very important. Whether like me, I will say my choreography is not the greatest, right? I'm not someone who's going to shine and you're like, they're an amazing dancer, but I know that I'm a great teacher. I will kick butt in teaching. And so for the most part, that's where people will come for my classes. Or now it's like the little babies. The parents love me as a teacher for the little ones, because I make it fun and they're learning, and, it's, they're getting something out of it, and they love dance because at such a young age, because of the teacher that they have. So, yep.
So dope, man. I feel like you nailed everything that we even wanted to like ask you. I mean, I guess is there any question you guys want to ask? I mean, for me, like the only thing right now I want to know is like literally like what's your like life mantra, like what's your mission statement that you have in your life that you live by. I feel like that's something real important for us as a human being and as an individual sometimes to have a more compass, right, in life. And like sometimes having a mission statement or a mantra or whatever you call it, or something that you live by that kind of help you even through your tough time and good time. Like what's yours? I mean, like I'm interested.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as my mission statement, you and I both took Arnell's leadership course over the summer, and that really helped me to zone in on what I do and put it into like a short phrase. But it's always been about community. It's always been about education and providing opportunities through whatever I do as a dance teacher, as a cheer coach, and even as a business owner for Immaculate Trait. Everybody's welcome. And again, that's part of our identity with Immaculate Trait, is that like Immaculate Trait is not just the studio. It's like everything that I do. You are who you are, you're good at what you do, and that's enough. And I'm here to help facilitate and guide you and push you in whatever direction you need help in. So that's kind of like where I've always been at, or like now, but
Can you repeat that one more time? Just what was it? The community,
education, and just providing opportunities. Yeah. Those 3. Community. Yeah. Community is so big because, like we can't move forward if everybody's separated. Like we have to be together in, especially building our community here, our dance community here in Fresno, being
Yes.
and you know, together in where do we see the future of our dance community. You know, we can't just say, well, I want my team to do this, or oh, we're only going to do this, or we're going to do this activity or this event, but you guys aren't invited. You know what I mean? Like we're never going to get anywhere, especially being Fresno. And you look at the other communities in SoCal and NorCal and how big they are and how much they're flourishing and all these opportunities that they're doing and getting. You know, it's like Fresno is just as good, you know, and that's why we bring these dancers to Fresno to help and train up our dancers, you know, providing those opportunities.
Yes, I agree with that. That's for sure.
I mean, that's why you're such a good guest for us for this first series, straight up. Like, cause we did this because we just really wanted to unite our people during this time, and we know during this time is probably the hardest time in America and in the world. You know what I mean? And because we have time, we also wanted to unite us, but sometimes get a chance to educate not just our Hmong community, but also like just people in general, right? Because I feel like sharing story and sharing people's insight and personal journey and what they learn could really elevate our people. And I'm not talking about Hmong people. I'm talking about our people in general. I mean, humanity, in a way where, you know, we could progress in a better way compared to not always going back to those things that created problems, you know? And so, man, props. And I just want to say thank you. Yeah, and it makes sense. And your mission statement, your mantra, like also just hit the point of what we're even trying to do here. So, man,
we all can get along if we all dance.
Yeah, everyone dance, right? Everyone dance. Everyone does dance. Yeah, like everyone. If kids play music to kids when they first, you know,
yeah, dance can do so much because you're using, I'm being teacher mode here again, but if you use so many different parts of your brain, you're listening to music, you're using your body kinesthetically, right? You're learning how to count, you're memorizing movements. And so it helps your brain in so many different parts that you just become, you're more intelligent than most people because you dance. And you also reduce, I mean, it's not 100%, but you also reduce your chances of dementia and Alzheimer's because your brain is so used to like memorizing things, you know, memory, muscle memory, picking up things that, your brain is just constantly working. And that's why I still look like I'm 18 because I dance.
Yeah, it's true. That's the unspoken fountain of youth.
It's not just because I'm Asian.
Yeah.
I dance.
Well, let's go to a question because it kind of relates to exactly what I want to ask you. Pretty much like kind of like some advice, right? That you would give the like this new generation, just anyone right now watching. So this is a question, and it says, what would you recommend to this generation that want to pursue a dance career? What steps should they take to meet this goal, and how long is this process?
Oh gosh, so I can't promise you a time frame, but if anything, like what we've been sharing with a lot of our young adults is, like I mentioned earlier, they all want to move to LA and say like, that's the only time I can make it. That was my idea, right? Like if I go to school in LA somewhere, I'm going to make it as a dancer. This generation today, you have so much in your hands. You have so much accessibility in your hands. Put up YouTube videos, put up Instagram videos, do your stories, do TikTok. I mean, how many dancers or random people are out there who are now TikTok famous, right? But be smart about branding yourself. What is your image? What is your goal? Your overall goal, not just to be important right now or not just to be famous right now, but if you want to make an impact, if you want to leave your mark, you know, you have to think about that long term. So wherever you are, if you are in a small little town like Fresno, you can still make it big. You know, you just have to build your brand. You get those followers, you get all that content out there, and someone in China, someone in Poland is going to find you, and then you'll, you know, go and do a video or choreograph something for them out there, you know. Right now with COVID, especially now is the time to do that because everybody's on their devices. So if you are a dancer, continue to create, continue to train. That's the most important thing. You cannot you are not the only person that can do it for yourself, right? Like you have to have the drive. Obviously, you're the person who's going to tell yourself, Am I going to do it? Am I not going to do it? Am I going to quit? But you have to train. Get in class. Get into class. That's why we have Immaculate Trait. We have amazing dancers, but they also need to train. So right now we have Immaculate Trait, or right now they're taking classes online. And they're part of programs online where they're training to be better artists, and not just about dance, but deeper things, right? Like concepts, finding their true meaning, all of those things. So you can do it from wherever you are. You don't have to go to LA or wherever it's happening to become a famous dancer, you know? So for all the young kids, yeah, if that's your goal to do dance, but you want to just be famous online, or, you know, what is it that you want to do? What is your overall, what impact do you want to make? Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's great. That's such good advice. Yeah.
So for the next question, Serena, someone asked, and to me, this question is it really stood out to me because I'm now a dance dad, because I take my daughter to the studio. You know, she does hip hop choreography and traditional Hmong dance. And for this question, it asks, what is one thing you'd say to parents who are not knowing how to or don't support their Hmong daughters in the arts/dance? What is one thing you would say to those young girls who wants to go into the arts dance who don't have support?
You know, for myself, like I said, I'm very lucky to have my mom and dad who, again, came here as refugees and said, we want to put our child in dance. And they supported me my whole entire life, even today, like even with opening up our own business, right? I'm very lucky to have that. But if you are not fortunate enough to have that, again, you are your own advocate. You are your own hero, right? You are your own superhero. So you have to believe in yourself enough to do it. But like my parents told me, have a plan. You can't just go out there and say like, well, in this moment right now, I want to be a dancer. I want to be famous, right? What is your overall goal? What is your plan? So if you want to make it in dance, whether it's in traditional Hmong dance or if you are pursuing dance in the commercial industry, where do you want it to take you? Because again, you have to realize reality here. If you are not 5'6" or 5'5" or 5'9", you know, if you don't look a certain way, if you don't dance a certain way, you're not going to get hired for certain jobs. It's going to be really tough going to LA and doing that. It's the same in any of those industries, in acting and music, right? It's hard. But if you have a goal with dance, I mean, I know a lot of my Hmong dance students who have teams, right, outside of school. They have their own dance teams. And because it's a cultural dance form, their parents are supportive of it. And that could be something big. You look at those teams like Mulan who travel here for the New Year's, and the money that they, you know, win, and the support from their parents, you know, even just dancing that type of style it can be, you know, big, and parents can support you. But you have to be your own advocate, but also have a plan. Don't just do it because it's what you see online, because it's what you see on Instagram or TikTok, because you have to face reality. Like I had to face reality. I'm 5'1". I don't have the body type to be those girls in the music videos. I've gone to those auditions and I was like, I'm not going to be half naked. I will not wear that. You know, it's just reality. So think about that first. And if not, think about what you can do for your community. And that's where my mindset has become now. It's like, what can I do for my community through dance, right? Hold workshops, open up a business, teach classes, start a team, go to competitions, you know, that's still all viable, but you have to think for your overall future career when you're 30, when you're 40. Because really, when your parents say you have to feed yourself, it's true. I've had several times in college where I was scared to call mom and dad because I had no money left. So I called Amaret, my big sister. Can you please send me $100? I have no money to get to dance practice. I have no gas money. You know, it's hard. It's a hard life, and your parents don't want you to suffer. That's why they force you to, you know, go to school and get a good job and stick to a career. But if you want to do something that you love and you're passionate about, have a plan. You know, if it's in dance, hit me up. I can tell you so many different careers in dance that will provide a good career, stable job for you, you know, and you'll make your parents happy.
No, that's awesome.
Awesome advice.
Man.
Right.
All these comments on the side I'm seeing. So cute. Oh,
So
thanks family for watching. I see all my like cousins and sister. They're all and my
oh,
aunt.
tight. You have family watching right now?
Yeah, and they're commenting in the
Shout out
chat
to
too.
Serena's family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, can we answer the one from C Tao? This
Okay.
one was directed right to you, Serena.
Yeah.
It said, Serena, you mentioned that it wasn't easy for your parents to accept you to major in dance. How do they feel about you and dance now after seeing how far you've come and taken dance?
They're very proud, especially with our business with Immaculate Trait. And having just done Common Unity last year, which was a big hit in the Hmong community, getting to bring a cultural dance competition, well, not cultural, but hip hop cultural dance, right? Competition to the Hmong New Year's, that the teams weren't just Hmong dancers. We had a mix of all races, one, being exposed to the Hmong New Year. We had so many, like I brought my own students and they're like, I've never even heard of this, or I've never been to the Hmong New Year. And they like weren't even there for the award ceremony because they were out shopping and getting food, but it really opened their eyes to the Hmong community, and it opened up the Hmong communities, especially for our older generation, to see like, hey, that's my kid up there, or oh my gosh, my kid could do that too. They're always dancing at home to those K-pop songs, So that was such a big moment for us as far as Immaculate Trait, but also for me, myself, Gary, thank you again so much for bringing me on board for that project, but getting to bring Common Unity into the Hmong community, and we wanted to bring it back again this year and even make it bigger than it was. But it was successful because of everybody who was a part of it, from the team that I had to put on the show, from Gary to the Hmong New Year's, and even the dancers. We wouldn't have been able to put it together without everybody's help. But I think that my parents are proud because of who I am and what I've learned in my age now, being to put this together, right? And owning a business. And, they still worry. They always ask, like, can you guys pay rent this month? Like, are you guys doing okay? But again, we have a plan and we can figure it out and we take care of it. And we're always being innovative. And that's something my father-in-law always says to us about our business, is like, how are you being innovative? How are you being different from the other studios or companies or organizations? How are you guys being different? What can you guys come up with that's different? And I think both myself and my husband are similar in that way, where we're always trying to see, what can we do? How can we elevate our community? How can we elevate our dancers? Not just Hmong dancers, but everybody, because we do have a large group. We do have a pretty high, I would say high town, or like a big community of Hmong dancers, from Gary's little daughter to the b-boys that come through to our studio. The Hmong community is involved, and I love seeing that. I love being able to expand to that. So my parents see our successes and they are there during our struggles, but they support that because, again, we have a plan, right? And my mom always said, when we opened up the business, if you fail, you fail. That's okay. They had a business in Colorado that failed, and you move on and you learn from it, and that's okay. But I know that not all the parents are like that. And so you have to make sure, again, that you are, what you want, and that you are taking all the precautions, and you're, making sure that you can achieve whatever it is. Because, again, your parents are just concerned for your overall
well-being.
Life and well-being. Yeah. They just want you to be okay and that you're not starving on the
My
side.
parents still tell me to stop dancing. So
Yeah.
Even though I know they love me dancing, but they tell me stop dancing just because I'm their son. They just want me to be okay.
Yeah. And they see that, and they will eventually accept that this is something that you love. And again, my parents, every couple of years when I was like from 19 to now, like they would say, oh, well, what about this? What about this career? Why don't you go to school for this? Or, oh, I have this opportunity my auntie is a part of that you can make money. You know what I mean? Like, they just want you to have a job and make sure that you're taken care of. But if you are passionate, and again, for myself, I was very stubborn. I said, well, I want to dance. I want to dance. I want to dance. And so I made sure that I took the steps necessary to start a business, to keep the business going, within my career teaching dance. Right. So getting a teaching credential. Now I have a full-time job, and they're like, yay, good. Now you have healthcare, like those little things like that. It's like, okay, you're teaching dance, but at least you have stability,
Yeah.
And that's where they're like, okay, we're proud of you. And then those little moments like Common Unity, bringing you guys to the studio was like, my parents were like, that's so cool, and they were proud of that. They don't understand it completely, but they see that you are happy because you are their child, and they see that you are successful because you are their child, and they'll love you no matter what, you know?
Being a judge on your competition, I love the element of adding a Hmong element there.
Yeah.
Like that was like so entertaining. I mean, the other judges weren't Hmong. Who? Oh, Serena was. I mean, not Serena. Shayna was.
Yeah, but Jason, he was Chinese.
I wasn't sitting next to Shayna, but every time I saw the Hmong element part, I was like, oh, what are they gonna do? Is it fashion? Is it a dance? Is it like a remix of the song? You know what I mean? Of a Hmong song? And like, I love the creativity. So I thought it was pretty cool. Like, if anything, like just combining that. So like, I love. If anything, you are definitely an innovator. You know what I mean? You are definitely transcending a lot of stuff. And like, if anything, what I learned today from you the most right now is that there's no limit to just there's no giving up. Straight up, there's no statement about giving up. Having a plan is like a key element to success, and even having failures is a step to your success. You know what I mean?
I mean, and honestly, if one day I have a disability and I can't teach dance anymore, like, is that it? Is it over for me? You know, no, because I have so many different avenues that I've created for myself. I can still teach, I can still mentor, I can still create programs, you know, where dance is still such a big part of my life that it's not done and over with. So yes, you may want to be a dancer, but what if, God forbid, an accident happens, you can't dance anymore? Is that it? Is it over? Because if you love dance that much, and if that was something that you were so passionate about, then there's other things you can do in dance, you know? But yeah, going back to the thing about the element, Gary and I, when we had talked about pitching it to the Hmong New Year's, was like, how do we make this Hmong enough, right, with our dance competition, so that when we pitch it to them, they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. And that was the idea that came up was, well, why don't we add a Hmong element, you know, whether it's Hmong dance, the music, or the part of the costume. And because we had teams that weren't Hmong, we had teams that were like, what? This is part of the challenge? And we're like, yeah, just think of it like ABDC. You have a weekly challenge, you know? So this is your challenge. Pick one and do it. And man, did the teams come and deliver. They were so awesome. And I love that teams that were not Hmong, they really like took that and they were like, all right, how can we really take this and appreciate the culture of the Hmong culture, like in their music, in their dance and their costumes, and represent that at this competition. And so, yeah, that was important for us. Yeah.
That's so dope. I mean, like I said, being in person there, judging and just seeing it in person like that definitely was something that, like I say, innovated. It's unique to you guys, you know what I mean? Like what you're doing. And like, I feel like, what you're doing now as a dancer and just a person in general, as a teacher, you know what I mean? And like, I feel like, man, I just kudos to all that stuff.
I also think of, because like, see, like it's so cool to see communities come together like that, and that dance competition you guys put together, because I was out in the crowd watching it, right? Watching all the performers, and I'm thinking to myself as a kid, I'm thinking all the kids out there. I'm like, how many kids are getting inspired right now? You know what I mean? Like, I put myself in that situation where I'm like, as a kid, I've always, you know, Gary said it earlier, we all wish we started younger. We wish we started like you, like at 4 or 5 years old. But I'm looking at, I'm in the crowd and I'm like watching too, and I'm like, it's so cool because I see a lot of kids really they're just like engaged, you know? And I think of all the positive things that, like, the inspiration that they're also getting from, you know, events like that. And straight up, I think it's what y'all doing is incredible.
Thank you. You guys saw the youngest group we had was Jubiwits. They were the youngest kids that we had there. Yeah,
they're tight. They're tight.
And like, they're still building their brand. Like,
they're tight.
I follow them. They're like, they're like amazing.
Yeah, they're good.
Their photo shoots. But that's the thing is, like, even younger kids then, or kids their age, are like, oh my gosh, like, we can't wait. When's the next competition? Because then we want to do the same thing. And they were all Hmong kids. And their parents were there with signs.
I love the parents.
Yeah.
The parents were like,
and that was like so awesome to see. And I understand too, like, the parents are my age, you know, with these kids up there. But you saw the audience, like, you have generations there, and like, even the older, like, grandpas, like, were like, what is this, you know? And they even enjoyed it, you know? So we are connecting all of those generations. And like you said, the young kids are like inspired because they see like, I want to be up on that stage.
Yeah.
If they can do it, I want to do it.
Exactly. And that's literally how it starts too, you know, like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it starts. So
yeah,
so much props.
For me, being the director of the performing arts things with Hmong Cultural New Year, providing that stage for everyone, not just, you know, Hmong, but for everyone in Fresno is a big thing, because out here in Fresno, we don't have a lot of stages like that. We don't have a lot of awards, a lot of recognition, a lot of money thrown into a event. And so if this is something that we can create for the Fresno community and all the other communities around us to fly in, you know, shout out to all the homies from the Midwest that flew in, all the homies from Colorado, Oklahoma, you know, like so many people flew in just for these events that we had. And I really appreciate it, because to me, that's what really like makes me happy at the end of the day. You know, it's providing this platform and showing everyone, hey man, if we can do this, you guys can do it too.
Yeah. So, it's being that, it's kind of like the foundation or the starting place for other communities to run with it. I mean, there's no harm in that, being inspired by what we were able to do last year and pulling that and taking it into their own communities. You know what I mean? And that's what we're here to do, is just inspire. It's not to try to be better than somebody else and be like, you can't touch that. You know, we're doing it, one, for our home community, and two, we're spreading the arts. And that was a big thing, especially for hip hop dance. And I know a lot of the stuff that we did was choreography based, but under that umbrella, right, of just dance in general, because man, these kids, like, I see it. These kids have after school programs and they dance. And that was something that I pitched to HCNYC, was that those after school programs, those clubs, all those kids are Hmong dancers. Yeah. All those young B-boys and B-girls out there, they're Hmong kids. And this is a place and space for them to feel like they're accepted for what they love to do. And so that was very important, that we brought them together because of dance, right? And that's part of the community. Common unity was, we have this common ground. We are uniting because of our common interest in dance. And so that was the name, Common Unity, you know.
You know, if you put that together, it's community too. So
yeah, community.
Hey, that's hip hop.
And that's where we pulled, the
there you go, like you're twisting it up, making it hip hop.
You're uniting and something.
Hey, but I just want to say that, like, you guys got my support straight up, like, from Fresno, California, like what you and Gary is doing. Like, I've been in Gary event. I think how many times Gary? Like 3, 4?
Is it 3?
2, 3? I don't know. I judged twice. I was their villain judge, and then so maybe 3 times, right? 3 times. But like
3.
I just commend you and Gary straight up. You guys are big figures in the Fresno community. So like you guys got my support. You guys, I'm throwing out there and like just saying that what you guys are doing is great. And for our audience who are watching right now, and if you guys really paying learning about what Serena is talking about and what Gary is also talking about, dig deeper. Come out to Fresno. Feel free once we are COVID free and we could come back as a community, right? Let's go to the event. I always tell people, and I always tell the future generation, is that go to the event and experience it. Experience Fresno community, because Fresno community, there's nothing like Fresno community. You go to any other, like LA's community, right? And like I'm telling you, like if you want to experience something new, experience Fresno. It's like a totally different community, and like you definitely will be challenged, and you definitely will grow as well. So, and I feel like in life that's important, right? And if anything, I'm only saying that so our audience could see that, and straight up, like, please, if you had never visited Fresno and experienced dance there, do it.
We're doing big things here.
I agree. I'm only saying that because I'm a person that witnessed it in person. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is about giving back and doing great things, but at the same time, a lot of it is just because you guys are literally doing great things for your people, and not just for your people, but people who come in as well. And I think that's something that's important, and we need more right now in our world, is that unconditional love and acceptance, and like uniting and having fun, right? Having fun and learning and growing and meeting people that you never met before, but you met them because you met them at Fresno, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just want to say that because I don't think I got a chance to say that to you guys. I feel like we were so busy, you know, we kind of did our job and kind of had to everyone kind of did a thing and kind of, you know, make sure everything else is okay and kind of balance. But that I just had to say that before, and then we got.
Yeah, I second Impact too. I would say you two are changing the game in Fresno. And keep doing what you're doing. You both have the support of us, and yeah, I'm also another person have seen it. I feel like that's probably the longest I've been in Fresno. All the times that I've been to Fresno was very short. And I didn't make it to some of Gary's events before. That's why just because of traveling, you know. But then that experience was just freaking incredible. And again, I would just want again to thank you two and just let you two know that you are changing the game right now for like the community in Fresno. So definitely know that.
I'll say this too. Shout out to Renee and all the people who run Celebrate Mom too.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I mean, we've been really lucky to work with really awesome people in our Hmong community, not just in Fresno, but like wherever, coming together to create opportunities for our young Hmong students or dancers. So yeah, thank you, Renee from Celebrate Mom, Strong Common Unity, our families for supporting us, you know, and you guys. I mean, I think I feel like I'm just this little person here in Fresno who's had this whole life and this experience. And like I keep saying, I'm more of like behind the scenes. But just having your guys' support, backing us in what we've done, like it makes a big difference. And it's very impactful for us to see when, you know, like on our social media stuff and they see stuff from Impact and Villain, Kinjas, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, you know, it's really cool. It's cute. So thank you guys.
Is there anything we could do? Always reach out. We're always here for support. So
thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Straight up. But on that, I mean, this was an amazing start of the series.
I'm excited for Mayder and Shayna.
Just to give you guys heads up, whoever's tuning in right now and people who's like watching this after we just finished the live, you're able still to watch it or share it. Please share it. Share with your friends, family, your kids who love to dance, even your older generation who love to dance. I mean, I feel like what we're really doing here is just trying to educate and literally bring us together and like kind of continue this creation of like just art, right? Art in general, but at the same time, just really I'm gonna use common unity straight up because we're trying to really be here in a common space. So if anything, thank you, Serena. I know usually we always say 1 hour, but you know, this conversation is so good. We went over. No, don't worry. I mean,
for share.
You made our job easier.
Easy. So much easier.
All the information. Thank you so much for just coming and sharing all your story. Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I tell you straight up, like if anything, that's a lot of a thing that's different from us sometime is that we know we get a chance to see how people maneuver something, right? And then we learn from them and we grow and we're like, I like that. Oh man, that's so dope. You know what I mean? And so, but anyway, we keep talking. But anyway, I'm just gonna say that next Tuesday, just want to give you guys the audience. We have Mayder Lore. Gary, you want to say something?
He's here in the chat.
Shout out to Mayder Lore.
Yeah, what's up, Mayder?
Mayder's here watching.
I know.
What's up, Mayder?
This amazing woman for a while too. I encountered her many times in my dance career, and I'm excited to have her on here as well. So, if anything, make sure you tune in. Again, that's Tuesday, November 17th. November 17th. Again, we're tuning in at 7 p.m. PST. I know that she's in the Central Time, so it's gonna be 2 hours ahead for her. But like, other than that, make sure you tune in at that time, and let's have another great time, another great conversation. And if anything, Serena, thank you so much for kicking it off.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank you for having me.
Man, thank you, Serena.
It makes
such good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
So
you've learned so much about me now.
Yeah, straight up.
I've known you for so long.
Yeah, I mean, I see so much parallel story. You know what I mean? And like, even like,
I feel like I
journey
learned
dance.
a lot.
So I'm really inspired right now, if anything. So I just want to let you know that.
Thank you
really
guys,
inspired.
and thank you to everybody out there who's watching. And if you guys have any kids or any young women, young Hmong girls who love to dance, support them, because you don't know where it's going to lead them. And I am a testament to that. I had supportive parents and families who always sent me places around the country to dance and all around the world to dance. And I'm here where I am, and I'm supporting and giving back to my community. So you don't know where your kids are going to go one day. And all of these things happen for a reason. All of these experiences happen for a reason. So all of those of you that are out there, thank you for watching and sharing your time with us today. Appreciate it.
Before we log off, can you plug your social media status?
Sure.
Social media, like,
where they can find you, where they can follow you for your work.
Trade. I know Dance Studio.
Immaculate Trait.
Please, plug all your stuff. Yeah.
Everything that you've been tagging us in. So my handle is ITS_Serinsky. That's the nickname I got on 909. And then Immaculate Trait, you'll see a lot of our events and things that we post up there, the videos of our classes. We have pop-up classes, that are happening. But for myself, a lot of the stuff I do is more like with my students, a community-based. It's not really about myself as a brand, but what I can do for my community. So, but yeah, if you guys follow our story, we're having a baby. So that's going to be on the Instagram.
Congrats.
We're bringing a baby too, in March.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So now we can't send this one home with their parent after class. We got to bring this one home with us now.
The kid's going to be a superstar.
Yeah.
I call it.
You guys are going to train them. They're definitely going to have to be a B-boy or B-girl. That's the first style they have to learn.
Yep.
Like you, like the
that was my
style.
First style.
Now, no longer want them to be a doctor, but want them to be a B-boy, a B-girl. Now,
we are picking names
the difference.
We're picking names specifically, like, okay, but could that be like their B-girl or B-boy name? Like, is that their dancer name? Because, we're picking specifically for dance career.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. That's so cool. I never heard of that. I never heard anyone doing that. That's so tight.
There you go. I want
everyone
out there watching right now, there is a career in dance.
Yeah.
And if anything, that's something that I want to point out there too. So, thank you so much, Serena. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Villain. Again, this is Hmong Hip Hop Heritage. Again, we're just here really conversing and talking about our experience in hip hop, dance, live artists, entrepreneur lifestyle to just being, right? So, thank you, Serena, for kicking it off.
Thank you, guys.
We had a great time.
Thank all you guys for
tune in next time, Tuesday.
Thank you, Serena.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Now.
Good night.